Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at some Ripple versus SC updates, some updates from James K. Fallon, Stefan Huber and them. Johnny Dean actually has some great tweet threads here where he's kind of covering a whole bunch of different things in regards to Ripple versus SEC. We're also going to be looking at kind of his viewpoint on, the divide that's being created in the community. And he's kind of talking about how, Coinbase was trying to come out with their Lend product and the SEC kind of, stomped on that idea right away. So it kept them from kind of moving forward with their Lend product. And Johnny Dean was talking about how he had reached out to Brian Armstrong and Coinbase and told them to, take the fight to the SC, but they cowered down. He's talking about how that kind of showed that like that effect is now playing effects, and now especially with the SEC doubling down on their staff to crack down on the abuse in the booming technology of the crypto market. So we're going to cover some of that stuff. Digital Asset Investor also has some great tweet threads that we're going to cover, and Matt Kaiser has a little interview here, and he's kind of covering our chairman Gary Gensler of the SEC and kind of him and his position and the position and the power that he has within his position, how he's affecting the markets, and he's not the appropriate, in a sense, leader that should be kind of trying to regulate by enforcement this community in the crypto market. And we're going to end with this these two Cointelegraph articles, and this is talking about Louis V and Johnny Walker dabble in the Web3, and Elon Musk changing his Twitter PFP to a Bored Ape Yacht Club little image diagram here. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. Coming over here, CoinGecko, we're currently sitting at a $1.89 trillion market cap, currently up 5.4%. So a lot of this gains was coming from the update from Jerome Powell and the Fed. So obviously they raised the interest rates, a half a percentage, so 50 basis points. So that was already priced into the market. So it's almost seen as like a more dovish approach than hawkish, because we were all, I guess, in the markets and the communities were all anticipating that, so it's all been priced in. So obviously there was some gains, and if we come back over here, if we look at the 24-hour period in Bitcoin really quick, if we come down here while it loads up, so 24-hour period, as you can see, man, we were in this high 37s, 38s, and then we just kind of shot up as the news came out, and it's been affecting the entire market. So there's been a lot of positivity in that regard. You have Bitcoin at 39,755, Ethereum 2,936, XRP sitting at 64 cents. It's up from 60 cents, sitting at almost 7%. If we come over here, some of the top gainers, Zilliqa sitting at 29, Waves 25, Curve Dow token 21, Gala 18, Tron 18, Cardano 15, and so on. So there's some gainers, some positive price action. So we're currently sitting in the extreme fear range according to this updated version of the Fear and Greed Index, but it updates in an hour and 41 minutes. So I definitely can see this thing popping back up into the fear range. Especially with the news coming out with the Fed only going up 50 basis points, and there being a little bit more positivity and optimism in that regard. But there's still inflation. There's still, upcoming Fed meetings, FOMC meetings in regards of interest rate hikes. So we're really not out of the fire yet. We're just kind of cooling off a little bit right now. But coming over here, I wanted to click into this really quick and cover this right here. It was saying went up 50 basis points, so a half a percentage. The rate move is the largest since 2000 and is in response to inflation pressures. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell underlined the commitment to bringing inflation down, but indicated that raising rates by 75 basis points at a time is, quote, is not something the committee is actively considering. So that was kind of, a positive, and that was seen as like like I said, the more dovish approach in regards of, it affecting the market. So moving on here, this is some Ripple versus SC updates. James K. Fallon. So this is what he had put up yesterday. This was the update. So the SEC requests permission to file a reply brief to the Ripple defendants May 13, 2022 response regarding the SEC's attorney-client privilege claims in connection with the Hemin documents. Ripple defendants object to the SEC's request. So for those of you that's been following, obviously we know that, they were talking about the Ethereum Free Pass speech that was given by Bill Hemin. They were saying that, no, that was his personal opinion. Then they came back saying like, no, it falls under DPP. And then they try to come back and say, no, it's attorney-client privilege. So this is kind of the whole, shenanigan that's going on. So then he has an update here. He says, in a text-only order, Magistrate Judge Netburn has granted the SEC's request to file a reply brief in connection with the SEC's attorney-client privilege claims regarding the Hemin speech documents. The SEC reply is due by May 18th, 2022. So just further delays, further kicking the can down the road stuff. And XRP Crypto Wolf says, why does Judge Netburn keep granting the SEC whatever they want? Judge Torres, on the other hand, doesn't play favorites. So pretty much talking about like, when is right here, Stefan Huber's talking about like, when is Judge Torres gonna, take over? Please take over. And it says they're responding to this tweet from James K. Filing in regards of Judge Netburn granting the SEC that motion. It says, and she will also grant the upcoming request for an extension of time to file the response in the following request to file a sir reply following another extension of time. He says, Torres, please take over. So I could definitely understand that frustration. Even when I see it, I get frustrated, but especially knowing, what Johnny Deaton says in regards to we're blessed to have, these judges kind of presiding over this case. I truly think that Judge Netburn isn't an idiot. She knows what she's doing. And there was people talking about in the community, maybe she's trying to take care of the whole issue of, them potentially trying to appeal things later down the road. So kind of letting them kind of get all their things together so she can literally have, all her ducks in a row and all her boxes checked. So when it comes to actually, deliberating on this case, it's just boom, 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 done. You've already had all your extensions. You've already had all your, your so-called blessings that you wanted in this case. So if that's the case, then, more power to her. Do it the right way and get this thing over and done with so we can get the regulatory clarity that we need. So moving on here, Johnny Deaton's responding to Charles Gasparino here, where he says Ripple CEO believes SEC lawsuit could be resolved this year. So there's been a talk about, now that, the judge has moved up that timeline, we're not, everything's not supposed to be, final and done. And, in March of 2023, they kind of moved up everything. I think it was like November's. And then they had like a 30 or 45 day period as judges to kind of deliberate and kind of figure out how this case is going to resolve if it were to go the distance. And they were saying that it can happen, within the end of this year, but if not at the very end of this year, very early next year, and not in March 2023. So, but there's actually been, Johnny Deaton and a couple other community members that's been saying they don't think it's possible, but it's not likely that it will end this year. They're not saying that it's going to take forever in 2023, but they're saying that, the likelihood if it does go the distance, it may not end this year. So he says, Garland House said that, quote, that's an optimistic view, but it's not impossible. Absent a settlement, no one should expect a ruling before the end of the year. As Brian Garland House said, quote, it's not impossible, but extremely unlikely. So nobody knows how things are going to go. We could see a settlement coming. Who knows? That could already be in the works. They can already be, deliberating on that and kind of figuring out what works best for both parties. But if it does go the distance, who knows? It could end at the end of the year and it could end at the beginning of next year. It's nice to know that we do have some sort of like timeline, rough estimate to kind of look forward to. I wanted to cover this. This is I'm going to try to read through it fast, but I think it's so important. So this is from Johnny Deaton. So he's responding to what he's saying here. It says, and I'm willing to bet if we read the SEC's June 13, 2018 XRP memo analyzing whether XRP is a security or got to review the 68 drafts and email commentary related to Hemin's June 14, 2018 speech, we would find out that some within the SEC itself dispute XRP being a security. So this is kind of his, his opinion based on, the evidence that's already being presented, and based on like how everything else been happening, how, the community has been, bringing out this Ethereum free pass timeline stuff, them on video footage, them on audio, them on documents, them in their own words, kind of surfacing all the evidence that we have so far. So he's kind of formulating like his thought process, especially with them having that true, like, I'm just going to say like diamond hand, hodl technique, to where it's like they don't want, Ripple or anyone to know what happened within these, these drafts and this commentary. So he says the June 13, 2018 XRP memo and Hemin emails. Some have criticized me, claiming I have no idea what the SEC's June 13, 2018 XRP memo or the Hemin emails say, and therefore should not comment. I reject such criticism, and here's why. So he's going to explain it. He goes, we know exactly what the memo doesn't say. Judge Netburn made a very important comment in her order, finding the memo protected by the deliberative process privilege, so the DPP. She noted that the memo did not make any recommendations. This means no enforcement action was recommended. We know it doesn't conclude XRP as a security, even without an enforcement recommendation. Some might be now thinking, Deaton, you don't know that for sure. Of course I do, and here's how. One, If it concluded XRP was clearly a security, it would recommend enforcement, which I agree with that. He says, if it was clearly a security as of June 13, 2018, the SEC would have initiated an enforcement action. Clayton was chairman. Hinman was director of corporate finance. The June 2018 memo was months before the SEC's formal investigation into Ripple. He continues, if XRP was so clearly a security, there wouldn't have been a need for a 2.5-year-long investigation following the memo. Another reason we know it didn't conclude XRP as securities because 2 months after it was written, Brad Garlinghouse and Joe Katz met with Clayton and Hinman. In that meeting, Garlinghouse spoke out and said, quote, Ripple is living in purgatory or a lack of regulatory clarity regarding XRP because Hinman blessed Bitcoin and Ethereum but not XRP during the June 14th, 2018 ETH is no longer a security speech, the day after the XRP memo was written. He continues, if the SEC XRP memo had concluded XRP was a security, don't you think Clayton and Hinman would have said to Garlinghouse and Schwartz, quote, we didn't give XRP clarity because our lawyers conclude XRP meets the Howey test and is a security, or words to that effect. He says, excuse me, I gotta sneeze. No, I don't. All right, so he says, another reason we know the XRP memo didn't conclude XRP is clearly a security is because the SEC would have turned it over to Ripple during discovery and not invoked privilege. How do we know that? Because the SEC has turned over other documents it could claim are privilege, which is kind of damning, in that regard. So he goes, the SEC turned over the notes of the meeting between Garlinghouse and Schwartz and Hinman and Clayton because it believes these notes help its case in some way. The SEC could have prevented these specific notes from being turned over like it has other notes from other meetings. For example, the SEC didn't turn over the notes from the meeting between the SBI, Ripple's largest shareholder, and the SEC. The judge ruled the SEC doesn't have to turn over those notes because Ripple has access to what was said. Ripple can simply ask its shareholders what was said. Judge Netburn gave the same reason for not forcing the SEC to turn over the meeting notes from the Elad Roisman meeting with Garlinghouse. Brad was there and can testify to what was said. Hence, the SEC didn't have to produce the notes related to the Hinman-Clayton meeting. He continues, he says, but they did turn them over because they think it helps the SEC case. Thus, if the XRP memo concluded XRP is a security, it would have been produced. As to the 68 drafts of the Hinman speech, along with the emails and the commentary regarding the speech, the same rationale applies. There's been a lot of speculation about how helpful the drafts and the comments are for Ripple. Did one SEC lawyer or staffer include or suggest XRP be included in the free pass speech? I'm willing to bet at a minimum, the drafts and comments are helpful to Ripple. I mean, absolutely, at a very minimum. And just like, what's the gentleman's name? The guy who bet dimes to donuts. I'm blanking on his name right now and it's bothering me. But anyways, yeah, I would bet dimes to donuts at a very minimum. The drafts and comments are helpful to Ripple's position within the case. I want to thank Johnny Deaton for that. That was a great thread there. So on this one, it says, Brad Garlinghouse says this as well, but respectfully, a correction. So they're talking about Brad Garlinghouse pretty much saying everyone besides the United States sees XRP as not a security. They see it as a convertible currency or a currency. He says, but he's correcting him and just being more specific. He's saying, John Deaton is saying the United States doesn't consider XRP a security. Only one arm of the U.S. government, the SEC, considers XRP a security, while a different arm, FinCEN, considers XRP a convertible virtual currency. So facts. I mean, that's facts there. But it's crazy though because the SEC is literally, it's being generalized that with the SEC regulating by enforcement, it's just kind of generalizing that the U.S. is just further dropping the ball, falling further behind. Tom Emmer. So I'm bringing this up because this was the big talk about the Chairman Gensler and SC kind of doubling down on their staff. I think they're getting like 50 positions to really start going after these platforms. And we were pulling up, some of their specifics. They were talking about going after, staking stuff, lending platforms, exchanges, and yada, 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 all this stuff, right? Nothing about, going after, securities and this and that. It was not specific to investor protection stuff. It was just kind of like they have their own agenda. And this was Congressman Tom Emmer says, I wonder how many taxpayer dollars are being wasted in Gary Gensler's personal crusade against the crypto industry. So I put that up because I liked this approach here. It's from Johnny Dean. He says, because he was talking about how when Coinbase was getting ready to launch their lend, they try to do it the right way and communicate with the SEC about how to, move forward in that progress and do things, respectfully to the unknown, non-direct regulations, but they're trying to do things the right way in a sense. So they were just like Gary Gensler and them saying, come in and have a conversation with us. It sounded like Coinbase and Brian Armstrong were trying to take that approach, but they got shot down really quick. So he's saying when Brian Armstrong tweeted out Coinbase was notified it would be sued if it moved forward with its lend product, and Brian said Gensler and the SEC wouldn't meet with crypto companies, I said Coinbase should move forward because it was likely it would be sued regardless. So he coming down and says, I said the best strategy was to also relist XRP, although I wouldn't have delisted it in the first place, and file a motion to intervene as a defendant like XRP holders did. At a minimum, it would have had standing to be granted amicus status. The point is, industry leaders should have taken the fight to the SEC. The writing has been on the wall since the Ripple case was filed. I still predict at least one exchange, if not several, will be sued by the end of the summer. I won't be surprised at all if it's Coinbase. So, we've said it on this channel. Since the beginning of this channel, no one is safe. No project, no platform, no digital asset, no individual person. No one's safe in this space, especially with the unknown, not having the regulatory clarity. And then you have Chairman Gensler and the SEC, operating and regulating by enforcement. It's no one's safe. They're coming after everybody, especially because they're taking the L, against Ripple right now, which is crazy. Right here. Digital asset investors responding to Rob Licker, where Rob Lickers says Ripple's moved HQ, signed multi-year lease, and took 10x more square footage in USA. Does Brad Garlinghouse know something? So they're talking about, does Brad Garlinghouse and them know something? Like, are they that confident that, it's all good, this case or this settlement's getting ready to happen, the conclusion of this case, they're going to be successful. So they're kind of getting ready to set up shop and further expand. Digital asset investor says, don't know about you, but I signed that lease after the case is over. This goes directly in the red file. All the world's a stage file. I wanted to play this really quick. So we got this video and then those two little articles we'll cover quickly. So let's quickly listen into this because I see where Max Kaiser's coming from in this regard.
And so why would Gary Gensler purposefully launch a known toxic product, garbage product into the market and not allow for an ETF, spot price ETF that's already established itself on markets around the world? And his arguments against price discovery are fallacious and misguided. Why would he do that? Why is Gary Gensler? So it's a shame that Gary Gensler is such an obviously, he is a regulator who's in the pocket of Wall Street, who considers Bitcoin to be a threat. There's absolutely no question about this. The Gary Gensler is corrupt. He just talked to Jon Stewart in an interview on Jon Stewart's, ill-fated Apple TV show. And Jon Stewart took Gary Gensler apart shred by shred and proved and showed to him in no uncertain terms that he was one of the worst and most corrupt public officials in America. And it was shocking. And Gary Gensler had nothing to say to defend himself because he's disgusting. But it doesn't matter. It would be great to give Americans a chance to participate in Bitcoin, but if Gary Gensler wants Americans to be poor, uneducated, living in the gutter, and being killed by the ravages of inflation, that's up to Gary Gensler. He's got blood on his hands. Gary, you schmuck. You should just resign and give the world the benefit of not having you have a public office. You're a gross, disgusting human. And
say it with your chest then, huh? So clearly he kind of got a little animated right there, and you can see the frustration behind his voice and his tone. And a lot of us in the community agree. It's just like it's crazy that this one individual has so much power and leverage in a sense in regards of regulating this space. Like it's just not appropriate. It's not ethical. It's not fair. It's not just. It's literally just stifling and hindering innovation and growth within the United States with this new emerging technology that they're comparing to, the ages of the internet and the growth of the internet, but it's surpassing that, by leaps and bounds. But we're dropping the ball and falling further behind. Crazy, crazy, man. I'm going to end on these two. So it's from Cointelegraph. Says nifty news. Louis V and Johnny Walker dabble in the Web3. Says other notable NFT news this week includes Larva Labs deleting all their tweets and Elon Musk briefly changing his Twitter PFP to Bored Ape Yacht Club. So there's clearly this whole metaverse thing. You're going to see more and more, major corporations, major companies, jumping into this Web3 metaverse play because it's kind of the writing's on the wall, and that's kind of where this future is heading. So this is kind of positive to see just more eyes and more awareness in this regard. And if we come down here, it's talking about right here. Louis the Game. It says at the time of publication, the game has been downloaded more than 2 million times on both Android and iOS devices. Louis, the game, follows his protagonist, Vivian, as she overcomes challenges, conflicts, collects candles, and other collectibles. NFT artist Beeple designed 30 NFTs embedded within the game, which are up for winning. At the end of April, new levels were released, and with a new opportunity to win NFTs that will be distributed via a raffle through August 4th. So they're obviously, creating some engagement and excitement within the community and people that are getting involved in here, which is really cool. And you can see crypto gaming, metaverse plays are massive. What else I want to say here in this one? So we're going to come over here. I wanted to touch on this because I think there's been a little narrative going on. So we all know about Elon Musk and Dogecoin and him and his infamous tweet that sent Dogecoin on just a skyrocket back in 2021, where it just kind of just went crazy and people became millionaires pretty much overnight just based off of his involvement in his tweets. So now they have this image here, which was created by a community member within the Bored Ape Yacht Club community. So this isn't like some I don't think he owns this board or this NFT. I don't think he owns this one. I'm just kind of speaking, speculating here. But obviously this was huge, and there's been a lot of talk within the Twitterverse and the community. It's like, okay, what's he doing? Is he trying to ignite this Bored Ape Yacht Club narrative, this NFT narrative? And obviously they have their Ape coin. Let me come over here and pull it in real quick. Obviously they have their Ape coin that's tied into their community. So it's like, what's going on? I think it shot up. Yeah, it shot up like 20% or something. Now it's sitting down at 10%. But there's people speculating that Elon Musk may be kind of in a sense trolling, but in a sense trying to pump this coin. So they're saying there could be a Dogecoin effect to it. It's all speculation, but I'm curious to see why he did what he did. I guess he had tweeted. He says he put it up and he says, I don't know, seems kind of fungible. So is he taking a jab at it? Or if he just kind of, showing his 90 plus million followers, like, hey, this NFT stuff's here to stay. It's important. Like, who knows what he's trying to do? But there's been a lot of speculation within the community. So I'm curious to see, kind of what happens right here. But with all that being said, that's kind of the update right now. We'll continue to follow, the Bored Ape Yacht Club stuff, or Bored Ape Yacht Club stuff. Yuga Labs and their other deeds, stuff that was going on with all the fees and just the community being frustrated. We're also going to obviously follow the Rippleverse SC stuff and kind of follow what's going on within the market. But with all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.